Welcome. I'm Janelle Kolaski, a career mindset coach and actor.
And I'm Amanda Dubois, a self-authenticity and prosperity life coach and actor as well. And we're your co-host of Mindset Artistry YouTube channel,
where we teach you the art of discovering and using your mindset
to build a career and life you desire.
Amazing. Woo! Yes, and we are talking about internal dialogue and self-talk. And that is such, I think, a heavy topic because at the end of the day, don't we have our thoughts? That is the one thing that sits with us every single day, no matter what we do and what we try not to do. Our thoughts are constantly running, subconsciously, consciously, all these things are, thoughts, feelings, and everything are running through our mind. And the reason why I wanted to talk about internal dialogue and self-talk, because I truly believe that self-talk, hello everyone, thank you for joining, that self-talk can create either positive impact or negative ones. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that, and we previously talked about this, like what you focus on expands, similar. But with self-talk, it's how you actually talk about yourself, how you view yourself internally, and what's going on in your mind about things that you're choosing to do, actions, choices in your life, interactions with yourself on a daily basis and with others. And so what I came across today, and I wanted to share this with you, it's a great mantra, and it'll mean something to you after, and I hope it resonates well. Something you would say to yourself is, I am love, I am light. I value and honor myself through my thoughts and through all I say and do. The more I love and value myself, the more love and value I attract from those around me. And that hit me so heavily because for such a long time, I had viewed myself negatively and I didn't even recognize it until I realized that my relationships were a reflection of how I valued myself and how I talked about myself. Nellie, tell me about what internal dialogue and self-talk means to you.
Well, this is mindset artistry, so I love that we're talking about this. We talk about so many mindset things, but yeah, it's everything. I wish I had the quote on me. I've mentioned it before, but it's basically the biggest battle you ever fight in your life is the one within your own mind, because this rabbit is going to try to drink my coffee. Because there's so much going on in there. There's so much people project on you, and then it's a wild thing where what sticks with you, especially if somebody's projected something and it's something you believe, maybe it's been said by multiple people, and then that track keeps playing in your mind and it shapes your entire life. So I think it's really important to pay attention to those things, and Amanda knows it's one of my biggest battles. I'm a very driven person, and I know what I want, but I would say it's not a lack of desire or drive or discipline that's ever gotten in my way. It's just the thoughts that I have going on.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, thoughts are so important. And yes, this is our mindset is what our reality is going to look like, what our world looks like, and how we approach every situation that we do. I see the faces over there, Nellie, with the, the bunny.
She just bit my butt. Sorry.
Oh, fun. That's great. I love it. A little bunny bite. So with thoughts, and the reason why I also wanted to bring that up is because there was something have read a book, and I read quite a bit of books on self-care, and then also fantastical and all the things. And one thing that pointed out to me that really resonated was what is told to you as a child. People as adults say things to children and don't realize the effect. And it could be very dismissive. It could be like, don't sing because you sound terrible. Just that little phrase, don't sing because either it's annoying or you're not good, will stick with that child unbeknownst to them. And internally, they will start saying that and discourage themselves from actually singing, whether they have the talent and, that love and light. Thank you for the hearts. They have the talent to sing and, share that gift. they will stop themselves. They will inhibit themselves because they will rerun that, don't sing, you can't. And they would turn it into their own voice and make it seem like it's theirs and that they don't have a talent and they don't have the skill to sing. And so be very aware of how you talk to others and how you talk to yourself. And so one of the amazing books that I've read, the Four Agreements, it's a great, great book. If you haven't picked it up, please do. It's very simple, the Four Agreements. And one of the agreements is that you keep with yourself is be impeccable with your word. And what it means is be impeccable with your word, not only with others, but with yourself. Don't talk yourself down because you'll only keep yourself down. Don't talk about how this doesn't look good and that doesn't look good and I'm not worthy and my nose is big or my hair is too short, all the things. That ends up being, it spills into all that you do in your life. It spills into dialogue with people. You end up pointing that out in conversations with others, and that person may not have even felt that way about you. They may have like thought, wow, that's the most beautiful thing about that person. That's the most amazing talent that they have, but yet you talked it down, so you devalued yourself by saying such a thing. And the reason why I want to, again, talk about self-talk is because I lived at 100,000% as a kid. I was talked down to a lot. I was called names, especially in middle school. I hated middle school, but especially in middle school, I think middle school is like the worst stages of childhood. Forget high school. I think middle school is like when everyone's trying to come to themselves, and I was so awkward, didn't have a lot, and I was a lengthy kind of girl, and everybody had like the bodies coming in with the booties and the boobs and all that, and I was just very slim. I was slim and tall, right? That was just who I was. And so I felt very awkward because I believed, yeah, so you and I can relate. I believed that when I was told I was ugly, it was true. And I would go home and cry to my mom. I remember my mom had to remind me. I would go home and cry to mom and say, Mom, I'm so ugly. I hate my voice. And it really buried me for a long time. And it resonated with me, and unbeknownst to me, until at least in my 20s. Even though I would say and do things and dress a certain way, yeah, but still low key, I would feel like, oh, I'm not pretty enough. I don't have the butt. I don't have the boobs or whatever. And so I had to actually do that healing and really tear down the perceptions that I had about myself. Nelly, what was the worst thing you've ever said to yourself when it's come to like self-talk?
I think it, because Amanda knows me well, and this is the biggest, it's so hard for me. I would say it's usually some type of you are not enough is the most damaging, because then you're constantly chasing being enough. And so, and it can be very wild, and this is what's so fascinating about mindset. And as I always say, hashtag no judgment. We aren't judging you out there, because it's a wild world in your mind there. Because for me personally, I can look at so many other people and think they're enough in a million ways. From what they do to who they are to their appearance, I can find a million beautiful things. And Amanda knows one of my favorite things to do is hosting and interviewing and getting to. Middle school was tough. It's left with a low self-esteem for years. I had so much induced self-hatred that I had to heal from. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm glad that you healed from it. Or if you're still healing, sending you love there. That's hard. Stuff sticks with you, and so I think that's pretty wild. I think if many of us look at ourselves, it's so easy to look at other people and see the beauty in them, but then hang on to the negative things that people have said to us. I didn't think I was smart. I think I remember, because I really struggled with ADD. Obviously, I still have it because I'm being distracted by this rabbit terrorizing my room right now. But I just learned differently. And I literally was kept from recess every single day in first grade, because the teacher would ask questions about the morning story, and I wouldn't be able to answer it because I don't really learn, like I'm not an auditory learner. I'm more kinesthetic or visual. Kinesthetic meaning I have to do the thing. Mm-hmm. And I literally thought I was stupid because this teacher was so cruel to me. Can you imagine first grade never being allowed to go outside just because you couldn't answer a couple questions? And I really thought I was dumb, and I was teased all the time. And then my parents got me out of that school. And the teacher in second grade, she loved me and gave me the space to be myself and to grow. And I was basically the top of my class for the rest of my life. So, but it's just that one person, though, right? So powerful. Um, so I would say that was the toughest thing. And the comment about shrugging off compliments, it passed me. But yeah, it's hard to take compliments sometimes. It's like you just have to say thank you, and but it can be weird when people compliment you, right? Tell me about that, Amanda. Why do you think people do that? Why do you think people struggle with accepting a compliment?
That's a good
I have
question.
two ideas about it, but I want to hear your response.
Yeah, I love that question. That's a great question. So what she's referring to as a comment is so true. I shrug off a compliment, but repeat criticism over and over. So the thing about that is it's about acceptance, right? It's about the doubt. It's about fear. It's all those coupled in one. And then it also is equivalent to worthiness, right? All of it comes down to, do I feel worthy? Do I feel valued, right? And so when someone tells us a compliment, we don't believe it because we we've heard it probably either before, we've said it to ourselves before, so it sounds more believable and more comfortable versus actually appreciating ourselves. Like criticism, yeah, I get it. Oh, you're ugly. Yeah, I probably am. Cool, right? Yeah, great. But here's the thing. And so let me just continue to answer my question is the reason why I think we take so much criticism is that it's what our society is fostered on. Like we grew up in a society where criticism was preferred over complimenting someone, because complimenting someone means that you're either devaluing yourself, right? Or you're putting more value on somebody else by giving a compliment. And then therefore you don't make space for yourself to exist. So the criticism is more acceptable because then it somehow makes the planes leveled in a way in your mind, and then you feel like you can improve on it at some point. And then it's more, I guess, familiar, the competition and all these things. But I want to hear what you want to say about the reason why you think we accept we accept criticism over compliments.
Yeah, there's so many things at play there. For me personally, I am very critical of myself. It's how I learned to become better. That's how I was taught to become better. You, if you have not reached your goal yet, you're not there. You better find what's wrong and you better get there. Now, has that brought me a lot of success in ways? Yes, but it's not healthy. You can have success without being cruel to yourself in that way. So when people criticize you, you're like, okay. And actually, I was talking about this earlier. I get it from my dad. He's brilliant, brilliant writer, intelligent, very witty. He would criticize himself before people could get to him. It's a defense mechanism, and other things can happen. It depends how you feel about yourself, right? Like the other day, somebody that has never really been kind to me complimented my skiing. And it was kind of a breath of fresh air. This person was being nice to me for once. And I also believed what he was saying. I think I've only been skiing a couple years, and I would say a decent skier for only doing it for a few years. I confidently believe that. And he was like, wow, only a few years. I had no idea. You're really good. And I was like, yes, I am really good. So like that was funny because that was coming from, I was like, well, this is nice interaction / it's something I felt confident in. But then something else will happen too, which is funny for people, is that sometimes people will compliment me and I'll watch how that makes other people feel. And I will refuse to accept the compliment because I have this habit, and we talked about bad habits the other day, of wanting to make everybody comfortable, which sounds nice, but when you're making yourself smaller and dimming your light to make other people comfortable, that's not good for anybody in the end. That's not good for you because you're not being yourself. You're not around the right people. And then the people that are shrinking down smaller aren't learning their lesson that they have to rise up and they have to raise to the occasion and find what they need to do to love themselves. So that's something that I am working on. But that's another reason I won't take compliments, because I'll be like, oh, thank you. And then I'll be like, oh, no, not everybody got complimented in the room.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it's the idea of being afraid to shine, right? It's not your responsibility to make someone else feel worthy. It's their responsibility. It's their responsibility to feel that they are loved, that they love themselves unconditionally, that, you know, that they are worthy. It's not your responsibility, right? All you can do is give them a compliment and that's it, and move on. It's on them on how they receive it, right? So like Nell said, she was in that room, she got a compliment and no one else did. Well, that's great. And I think we have a tendency of, and I've done it before, if I receive a compliment, I have to compliment right back because I feel bad if like I don't point out something wonderful about you, which it's not necessarily bad. It's just, I think it's kind to do. And my mom said, if you don't got nothing nice to say or kind to say, then don't say anything at all. Well, then I won't, right? I've always said that. And I do truly believe that you have to think that way about yourself too. If you don't have nothing kind to say about yourself, then don't say anything. Don't say shit. Do the opposite. Figure out what is wrong. Like, you know, I had put in our carousel on an exercise and a mindset tool called the mirror love, on how you can kind of switch your perception on how you view yourself and what you've accomplished. And, you know, look at that, because it's a really great exercise. And I've done it many, many times, right? I've done, no matter how many times I've been told, yeah, you're beautiful, all these things, I've had to believe that internally. Because for such a long time, yes, my mom has told me and the parents have told me, yeah, that's great. But what has the world told me? The world has told me otherwise. And I truly believe that, because the world, quote unquote, is what matters, right? It's what we are, right? It's the
But
world is
why
what
does it
matters.
matter? That's a great thing that you pointed out there, because people will get kind of upset with me because they're like, well, you have these people that are close to you that say these beautiful things. And I'm like, and I do value that, but then you're walking around and then the world repeatedly tells you something and then you're focusing on that. So why do you think people get hung up on that?
On the external world and versus the
Even when
people
you
that
have
are
a
around
good
them.
support system, yeah.
Yeah, because in the world is where we are in our individual selves. It's a constant battle of proving ourselves and our worthiness in our careers, in our relationships, in everything that we do, our style, the way we speak and approach things. That is supposedly what matters. The family is like kind of like a protective space, a closed doors behind the scenes. But when you're out in the world, there's nobody there to protect you. You've just got yourself. This is survival mode, right? So we live in the survival mode the minute that we step out of our houses or our places and walk into the real world, quote unquote, real world. And then we are responsible for how we move through the world. And let's say we make a mistake, we get ridiculed for it, we get criticized for it so badly. And then when we do something that is grand or exceptional, it kind of gets thrown away. So we believe that, so we don't end up celebrating ourselves and celebrating who we are and then walking our authentic selves and our truths. So we end up believing the criticisms, because that is more valued and can be quote unquote fixed or corrected, versus something that you already are good at or look good in, right? And I think that's where it is that family or your close circle who value you, who appreciates you, there is a veil lift. You lifted your veil, your true selves with them, or at least I hope that you are, and no judgment, hashtag no judgment. You are your true selves with those that you hold close and dear to you. And yet in the world, depending on what background you've come from, what culture you grew up in, you know, what society, as far as like career wise and educational wise you are in, you have to present yourself in a certain way to be accepted. What is your educational background? You know, did you get a bachelor's degree? Did you get an associate's degree, right? Do you have a PhD? All those things. Oh, where'd you grow up? In the urban field versus like the rural, did you grow up in the ghetto? Did you grow up in the city? Those things end up mattering because people start viewing you like, oh, you grew up in the ghetto? Then you're going to get a good education, right? Okay. So then why are you here? Because you don't deserve to be here, right? There's these perceptions that where you come from is it depicts where you belong, right? And I think that's why it's so hard to walk your truth into the world, because everyone else is telling you differently. There's these standards that you have to keep, right? There's these standards that are supposed to be, but it's false. I'm sorry, but fuck it. Fuck what people say and do you. I am so serious. And it's taken me a long time to feel that way. And this is why I love being a life coach and working on mindset and perception and, prosperity and self-authenticity. Because if you're not walking your truth, all you are doing is walking like a zombie and being a robotic person in the world and never truly attaining happiness. And happiness looks different for everyone. And so when the self-talk is, I had to sit down and start saying the opposite of what I thought about myself, right? And the biggest challenge for me was my voice. And I talk about this quite often, is because it was so true. I hated my voice for so long. I hated who I looked like and was, and, I belittled myself. Although I may have walked with confidence, internally, I was struggling. I didn't know my voice. And so I had to tear that down and go, well, why do I believe that my voice is terrible? Who told me this? Right? Or was there a comparison with somebody like, oh, their voice is better? So then I wanted to be like that person. And I devalued my individuality, my identity. And so I really had to dig deep and find the beauty in my voice, because it makes me authentically me. Right? And that's what you have to do with self-talk. No matter what, figure out the things that you've accomplished up until this particular moment, the things you survived, the things you've overcome. No one else could have done it besides you. No one else could have done it. And that's the beauty, because it's your authentic story. So start talking kind to yourself with that. Start talking yourself up as if you are the best friend. You wouldn't talk shit about your best friends. If you're a real good friend, you'll be honest, but you wouldn't talk them down. If you're a real true friend, you would talk them up. You point out the positive things about themselves, right? Like Nelly saying, that she's not beautiful. I think she's gorgeous, right? And everything that she does, she's an adventurous, she's talented, she's smart, she's amazing. She's an advocate for those that have less. Like, that is her beauty. And I uplift her. That's how you need to uplift yourselves. Talk like that about yourself. Stand in front of that mirror and go, I graduated high school. Amazing. So many people haven't. There are many people who have dropped out, and there's no judgment there, but like, that is your accomplishment. Right? And so talk about your accomplishments and talk about what's a beauty about you. My mole here, my nose, my big old forehead. I used to be told it was a 5 head and I could watch movies on it instead of story. You know what I mean? Like, all the things, like, embrace it and said, yeah, that's your opinion, but it's not my reality, right? It's not, other people's opinion is not your reality. And it's painful. It's very painful. So tell me about, Nelly, and I want to flip it back to you. What has been a moment that you have used self-talk to get through a hardship?
I would say, and this is what I want for anybody that's watching and for myself, for a long time, and sometimes I still battle with this, I can be very stubborn, which is good because it'll help me stick with things for a while and not give up. But I will take myself to the point of exhaustion. Like, there are a few things in my life right now that I'm literally at the point of exhaustion where I just have to change. But my mindset has kept me somewhere. So for me, I have to say to myself, you want to be healthy, you want to be there for your brother, you want to live a long life, and these dreams that you have are worth it. You got to be kinder, and you have to believe in yourself, because if you have something you want to do, that's there for a reason. there are many things I have no desire to do or no understanding of. I mean, being an astronaut would be awesome, but that's not something that was like, oh, I want to be an astronaut. But an actor and a teacher, a coach, those are things that light me up. Uh, so it's there for a reason. It means you're capable of having those things, but you have to remind yourself that. So I think that's a big mindset thing that I do. When I want to give up or when I'm being hard on myself, I'm like, well, Janelle, that's there for a reason. You're having these feelings for a reason. So it's important to keep going. And calming the noise, maybe there have been a few times in my life where I literally taken trips by myself upstate New York, didn't talk to anybody for 3 days. If any of you have ever seen The Dollhouse, it's a play. Dollhouse Part 2 was really good because it was just about a woman, the perfect wife. I forget the time period, probably early 1900s, but she wanted to do something on her own, and it was this big scandal because it's the early 1900s, a wife wanting to be a writer, a woman wanting to be a writer. And all that to say, there's a part during the second play the Dollhouse Part 2, that I really resonated with, because she said she went somewhere, and I think she said she was silent maybe for a year. And it took, don't worry, I don't think you need that much time. This is dramatic. This is a play. Although life is dramatic sometimes. But it took her a year of being silent and not really being around the same people or people in general. It's not about being a hermit, but to hear her own voice. And so I think really taking the time to hear your own voice. I tell you to put on blinders. I tell you to put on your headphones. And for women especially, I'm speaking for myself and just from observing other women. I'm not speaking for every single woman out there. But we are caretakers. We make things work. We are very supportive. And it can be very easy to shift your life around trying to serve other people all the time and what everybody else needs instead of what you need. And so that's a very important mindset adjustment, is to really take time to listen to what you want and what you need. And life is a balance, right? Because that used to feel very selfish to me, especially if biologically uh, we could have children. It's a big part of us to nurture and serve others. But so that's something I'm always trying to do. So I haven't done it recently, but I'll just go upstate somewhere for a couple days and I'll unplug and I'll just see what comes to me. And you can do that. You can do that in your own room, but I think there is something about being in a completely different environment that isn't attached to anything that you know. That is really when I've found the most clarity, because there isn't anything in the space reminding me of what I should or shouldn't be doing.
Hmm. Oh, I love that. I love that, just escapism and to go back into your roots and who you are, and then really make this space to find your voice, to find out what your voice is, take out all the chaos and all the mess and all the dust that's, been residual from other people, and really sit down. And I agree with you 100% about getting out of your norm, right? Because sometimes unbeknownst to you, a little thing can trigger a negative thought about yourself in your room, and you won't even know it, because everything in your room has energy. Everything that you are in that space has energy, and it will bring up certain things. So if you take yourself out of that energy that you've settled in that room or space and go somewhere else that is completely neutral or new to you, you have a almost like a blank canvas to kind of figure out what you are and who you are and what are the next steps and all the things that you need to do or that you need to hear. So I love that. I love that. And I know we're getting short on time, and I had a few questions. We're losing track of time here, but how has this self-talk or these negative talks transitioned or help others? Help others. Let me get it right. I'm babbling here. How has the self-talk transitioned into other areas in your life, either helped you or hindered you?
Okay, so most of my self-talk is usually about appearance and ability, but that has negative impact on relationships and career because ability ties more into career. But if you're constantly talking down about yourself, your appearance and what you can do and who you are, and you're not being enough, then of course that has an impact on your relationships with other people because you don't think you're worthy of being around other people. Or having the career of your dreams. But um, and I'm getting better about this, but the times I have changed my mindset and been like, I belong, this is for me, I belong here, the most beautiful things have happened. I've booked acting jobs that I never dreamed I would book. I've built beautiful friendships. I've made a certain amount of money that I never thought I'd make because nobody in my family ever made that type of money. And I had to break through some type of mindset that people from backwoods Pennsylvania, Ohio, don't come from nothing, can never make six figures. Is, and even having to hustle hard to do that, and leveraging time and money versus the hourly rate and all these things I had to learn. And that all came from positive changes to my mindset.
I love that. I love that because it just got me thinking about the money dialogue that we constantly talk about ourselves and the way we grew up and all these things. We have these negative viewpoints on other areas in our life, like career and money. And if you keep maintaining those negative aspects about those things and areas in your life, you will only stay where you are or or be less, right? You're only going to stay in that area. You're never going to surpass it if you don't change your perspective about those things, about money and your career and, embracing your true authenticity. If you don't do that, you will just stay where you are and never get surpassed and never surpass it to the point of your greatest abilities and your greatest gifts and how you can serve the world and not only yourself, right? Because we are all in service and bringing more kindness and your gifts to the world. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, and something I'll add quickly is it's not easy because some of that stuff's really deep rooted. Even now, walking around New York City, sometimes you end up around what I would say old money, people that
Mm-hmm.
have always had money. And I would end up at these dinner tables and even in the Hamptons and these places of, and it was so deep rooted, my fears about myself and how I was like, oh God, no, they can really see who I am. And some people would be rude to me because they could tell my upbringing. But then I just had to have the mindset that I belong here because I'm human. And then it actually made me more confident because I worked through the fear of that negative mindset that I still belong here despite not growing up the way you did. And I would just be
Mm-hmm.
so candid. I'm like, look, I don't know what a silver spoon is. I've been shining in my whole life, but I'm still here and I'm eating from it.
I love that.
you know?
Yes.
And some of them would be turned off, but then some of them would be like, you know what? That's cool. That's cool that you don't feel like you belong and you're just going to put it out there. So some beautiful things can happen when you push through negative mindsets that you have that are really deep rooted and the fear that surrounds them.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, we could talk about this for the next hour. And, I know everyone has lives and things like that, but, I love the idea of really paying attention to your mindset, really caring for it, really nurturing it, and then really empowering it through your body, your words, your environment, and all those things play a factor into the mindset artistry that you are in charge of. You are in charge of you and no one else. You control how you react to things, how you feel about things, and what you constantly say to yourself. Be impeccable with your word, with others, and with yourself. Even though you want to talk, and we say it mierda in Spanish, we talk mierda was shit about people. We want to do that. Don't do it. Because all it's doing is bringing your vibrational level and your vibration down. It's not uplifting. So find the beauty in other people because you'll see it more in yourself. Value other people for who they are and let them be. But love yourself unconditionally. Be kind with yourself and know that you are worthy. Yes, your fears will come in, but thank it for coming in. Thank it for being there and having helped you throughout your journey up into this particular moment. When you thank it, you can partner with it. It will not control you. It will be beside you, it will be behind you, but never in front of you. So don't let fear take the wheel. Let fear take a back seat or drop them off somewhere on the way down the road, right? Let them out in the car, and you take charge and just say thank you. And when you come back, I'll thank you again. But just know that don't let fear control your choices. Don't let fear hold you back from being your true self. Talk kind to yourself again and repeat that. I am love. I am light. I am worthy. I am successful. Money comes to me easily. All the things. And then follow up with the actions. And you'll see the major difference. Nelly, what is one of the best advice as we get close into this? What is the best advice you would give about self-talk?
The best advice is really what you said earlier. Just think, would I ever speak the way I'm speaking about myself to other people I love? And 9 times out of 10, that is no. Usually 10 times out of 10 for me, because I can be pretty harsh. And so it really, like anything, comes down to awareness of what you're saying to yourself. And that's when you can make a change. And don't judge yourself. We all do it. But if you want to change your life, you got to change your mindset in that way.
What are your thoughts about this episode?
Drop it in the comments and let us know what you want to dive into next.
Subscribe, like, share, and click the link below to book a free consultation. And
We'll see you next time.